Today we're just going to do a quick video about picking a tuner that knows what they're doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about this car, which is just tuned somewhere else. It's a turbo kit that's pretty common, and it's also pretty simple. It doesn't take any special tricks or anything like that. But it's a Donzivo Motorsports turbo kit. I've tuned a bunch of these kits, but they tune very similarly to other kits with similar parts. So it's a Precision 6766, 3-inch charge pipes, really nice big intercooler, really good kit. Makes reliable, consistent 600 horsepower for us every time. This car was tuned at another shop, and I'll show you the dyno graph real quick from it. So he basically said they wouldn't make any power, and there was some drivability issues allegedly, but we're not going to get into that. So this is what it made on the old tune. Dynoed it here and made 408 horsepower on the old tune. You see how hard power trails off towards redline as well. I immediately knew something was wrong when the car wouldn't start, like on the third or fourth try. Just make sure it works. And then I also noticed this, and I noticed it had a stock map sensor. So if you have a car that's 09 or newer, there's no reason to not use Ecutech and use a 4-bar map, and that's a minimum requirement for us to tune any supercharged or turbocharged 370Z or G37. So we removed the uprev tune off of it. Back to stock, baby! And I started tuning Ecutech.
I don't know, dude. This should record everything.
Retuning the car, this is the first hit. With no major changes, it's kind of a soft calibration to feel everything out. Since this car is using big injectors but doesn't have a flex fuel sensor, which is kind of a hack-ass way to do it, I wanted to make sure my SD table was right and my timing and load scaling was correct before trying to push it right out the gate. So you can see, yeah, sacrificed a little bit of mid-range, but top end you'll see how the power stays pretty flat. And then up top, if you look at right here, let me bring the camera in a little closer, where the power on the old tune was falling down to basically nothing, 200 horsepower. The car was still making over 400 wheel horsepower. So this kind of just basically corrects the entire power band with just an initial tune-up. The second revision was basically a little bit more refinement. On the calibration, and you can see it cleaned up really well. It's the green line right here. Power increased to 490 horsepower with 410 foot-pounds. So this is what I would consider a good starting point. If it's making under 500 horsepower to me, like that really ain't a lot, but it's a good starting point to basically check, make sure everything's working. The next stage, I made another revision, made another hit. This boost control set up the way they brought the car was a little different, but it's nothing crazy, so it didn't require a whole lot of finesse. But I did add a little bit of timing up top as well, past peak torque, so we got a nice improvement from 490 to 526. So you see the car picked up about 40 horsepower up top from ignition timing increase. We're still keeping the torque below 500 foot-pounds, just want to make sure we don't fold any rods on a stock motor. So now we're kind of seeing, okay, the car's making good power, the fuel system is happy, all the PID control strategies that we're using are working correctly. You can also see this kind of messes with the scaling a little bit, but the air fuel is perfectly flat on every run, around 11.5 to 11.7 all the way across. So this shit is working really nice. We put a little bit more jam to it just to see if we get it to touch 600 wheel. This run right here, 594 horsepower. So the car picked up a substantial amount of power on that revision. 70 wheel horsepower increase. Not a very large increase in torque because basically we're just starting to ramp the boost in after peak torque to keep the rods in the block. After that, we did one more final pull. Could get to 600 wheel, and it made right just over 600 horsepower, 603 wheel horsepower, while keeping the torque below 500. It's 488 foot-pounds. This is not something where like the car was kind of a bunch of major mechanical changes. We literally took how they set up the car, which I personally don't like. Everybody has their preference, but we took how they set up the car, and all we did was change the calibration. And this kit doesn't have any secret sauce to it. This kit is just quality materials, quality parts. It's laid out really well. And like I said before, I tuned a bunch of them. But even if it was a BP kit, even if it was any other kit, you know, that's on the market, it would have had a very similar tuning strategy. So the lesson here really is to make sure you're asking the right questions before somebody tunes your shit. First one, if you have an 09 plus car, Nissan Infiniti, are you going to use speed density? Do I need a 4-bar map, or can you sell me one? Are you going to tune the car in Ecutech? Like, all these questions are important questions to ask, because, I mean, honestly, once you get to the point where the car's only making this, and the car's already unstrapped and they're giving it back to you, I mean, you're assed out. They're going to charge you what they're going to charge you, and you got to figure the rest of your shit out afterwards. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. If you have any other questions or anything, just let me know. Thanks.